It's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, this is Ivy Slater. Welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. I have the opportunity to introduce you to an amazing woman, somebody who I've gotten to know through a networking organization. We met at a conference a while back. Chris Mullins is a thought leader in the legal world of intake and attorneys. She has truly, I've seen her on stage talk about this, and I was riveted. And I have been doing sales for 30 some odd plus, I hate to say it, 40 years of my life. And she still had me sitting in my seat taking notes. So Chris, thanks for joining me here today on Her Success Story. I am so excited to talk with you again.
Pleasure.
Let's get the backstory. How did this become a business for you, a career for you?
30 years ago, I was working in the newspaper business in advertising sales, inbound and outbound, and like in a call center. And I got pretty good at it. And then before you knew it, publishers from other newspapers were calling to get me to leave my newspaper, and I wouldn't do that. And then eventually I just got cocky and I said I should start my own business, but I didn't have a budget or anything. And to make ends meet, I started a cleaning business and worked at McDonald's and did some speaking at chambers and rotaries and Toastmasters to learn how to do it. Then fast forward, I started getting clients for training like Blue Cross Blue Shield and casinos and the airlines.
Wow.
And then I went to a mastermind with Dan Kennedy and was one of his mastermind members.
Hold on. That's an impressive name to do a mastermind with. If I would have known back in the day when I was building my first business that Dan Kennedy had a mastermind, I would have been in.
Dan's first mastermind that I actually paid for with about 4 different credit cards was $6,000. And I didn't really know Dan, but he had a free walk into a mastermind, and I drove to Ohio because I couldn't afford to get the flight. And I snuck into Denny's because he had it at Denny's, and I sat in the back of the room and listened to him. And then we just kind of connected, and I invested in his mastermind for $6,000 in the basement of his house in Ohio with 15 other top gurus. And then my relationship took off with him. We're friends today. He's been a client of mine a few times with Miracle Year. I think in one of the masterminds, there was some attorneys, and before you knew it, they wanted to know what I knew. And
that was where my next question was going to go. So, from somebody who started a cleaning company and then went to the chambers, to just make ends meet. And then you started training and you got the healthcare companies and the airlines behind you. Where and how did attorneys come about, and where, and then I want to build from there because I have so many questions about it.
There was at least one, maybe 2 attorneys in one of the masterminds that I attended with Dan. And so there was just a connection there because there were dentists in there, all kinds of different professions, entrepreneurs, right? And so I made a little connection, and I think Dan introduced me or mentioned Ken Hardison to me and Ben Glass. So I connected with them and had some clients, and then I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to stay in one lane. I don't need to be the butcher, baker, candlestick maker. I can just stay in one lane. And so I stayed with attorneys. But I will tell you, when I started the business back with the cleaning company and the McDonald's and all of that, I used cassettes. Because we had cassettes. I don't know if everybody remembers cassettes.
Chris, you and I were probably on the streets.
Yeah.
It was about the same time.
Yeah. Well, I went to the local Radio Shack and found out how could I record phone calls, and I could pretend to be a prospect. I was a mystery caller. They showed me how to do it. I bought some different pieces of equipment from them, got some cassettes, and I would call and play prospective client to law firms, record the calls, label the cassettes, throw them in a box, ship them to the law firms. And I realized nobody was listening. So then I went to the library and I transcribed every single mystery call and sent them stacks of paper in the box with the cassettes, and they still weren't listening. So I went and bought cassettes and I shipped them the cassettes too. And then eventually some of them started listening. So that's how it began. Fast forward now, I don't do that anymore because we have Zoom and Skype and Teams and all kinds of things.
It's so often we don't align attorneys and the legal field with sales, because it's like, well, they're attorneys, they're professionals. And I think we have a variety of people who listen to her success stories. So I want to kind of talk about this misnomer that attorneys need to be able to sell. They need to be able to represent. It's Slater Success. I talk about the four pillars that move a business forward. Your financial strategy, your marketing strategy, your sales strategy, and your team strategy. If you're not taking your prospects and creating clients, right? All the people who are inquiring, if they're not turning into clients, what do you have as a law firm at the end of the day?
Yeah, well, you have a lot of holes in your bucket and there's a lot of hemorrhaging going on, and you're basically spending marketing dollars and out of the kindness of your heart, giving leads, prospects to your competitors. That's what you should, yeah. So, yeah, it's important to know how to sell, but don't be afraid of the S word sales or the S word script. Just look at his relationships.
And this is where you and I align so much. And when we've connected, is I truly believe sales is about building amazing relationships. It's
Mhm,
truly about building the relationships and having relationships that last a lifetime, because
mhm,
that's the annuity.
mhm.
What are some of these tips or tricks, I have to ask? Because sometimes, we both work a lot in the legal field, and attorneys don't always see the word sales. They see rainmaking, they see, you have to build a book. But the idea of getting out to the bar associations and then taking that concept into actually sales.
Mhm. Well, I think that you want to practice the whole idea of marketing yourself. Be comfortable marketing yourself. And if you're comfortable marketing yourself, you can start with the basics like the bar associations. That it can be scary for some, but it's not as scary as some other ways that you could do it. And just get out there and do it. And you'll get better and better and better. And before you know it, you'll have large networks of other law firms. You can refer, you can have free money on the table because you've already spent the money on the leads and maybe you couldn't help them, but another law firm could help them. But at the end of the day, it's relationships. And what's important is that even with your clients, you never stop selling. You're always selling from one communication moment to the next. You're selling. You're selling your promise, your commitment. You're selling the first impression over and over again. You're selling trust, not in the used car salesman idea of selling, but at the end of the day, nothing happens until someone sells something.
So, what I'm hearing you saying is it shifts from the idea of a transaction,
Mhm.
right, to a relationship. That relationship builds that trust
Mhm.
and has
Exactly.
that client leaning in more and more.
Yes, 100%. You have to do what you say you're going to do, but then also be human. If you make a mistake, say you made a mistake and move on.
In building your company, and I know
Mhm.
you've done this for a long time, what has surprised you?
The first thing that comes to mind is that still today in the legal industry, we're not where I would like to see us be with acknowledging intake sales as the most important department, not the only department, but the most important department. We say it is. We say it is at conferences. We talk about it. But when it comes to action, it's still not there. It's the back office still. And you can tell that in action. You've got an intake team of salespeople that are overworked. Attorneys, law firms go to the conferences. They spend all kinds of money on marketing. They get great leads. They get great formulas for marketing, but they forgot to, if they're going to increase the leads, they forgot to take care of the team. And the team's still here with the number of people, but the volume is crazy. And the burden that we're putting on our intake sales team is a lot. And that's why we have a revolving door.
What's the order we should be aware of? Right? So
Mhm.
there's the expression which came first, the chicken or the egg. Okay. We put energy and money into marketing. And marketing is, there's large legal marketing companies, there's networking, there's speaking, there's, presenting CLEs, as being involved in your bar associations, being a leader. There's, all that comes together under that marketing umbrella.
Mhm.
What does the leadership of the firm need to be aware of and be planning? It's which came first, the chicken or the egg? Help me.
I'm going to answer you. You let me know if I'm in the direction that you're looking for. Is just what you could do is you could make the intake sales team be part of marketing. They're not separate; they're the same. And if you do that right, they will probably take care of the problem because they're under the same umbrella. The marketing director maybe is responsible for intake, as well as maybe an intake manager and supervisor. So that would be just an easy way to do it. But
I
also,
like easy.
yeah, it's easy in its department. It's called marketing and it happens to be intake, right?
In my early career, I owned a printing company. I sold to marketing advertising departments for many, many, many years. I've always looked at it as marketing and sales is heads and tails of the same quarter,
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep,
right?
yep, yep.
And the whole quarter comes forward
Mhm.
because that's when we have synergy and sync.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, if you're going to do marketing, what are you going to do with the market? We got to sell it. We're doing the market. There is another piece to it, like you just said, and so we have to sell it. So just talk the same language. Have a checklist, which you probably already have a checklist for all of the different things that you want to do with regards to a new marketing campaign. Just add intake to it. Just add it. Just add it to the checklist. And when you have a new marketing campaign, do role playing with intake. Talk about the new type of leads that are going to come in, the types of potential calls. Do some role playing. Get ready for the volume. Maybe hire a couple more intake specialists, sales specialists that maybe they do some intake, and then when the volume goes down, they do other things at the firm, but they are skilled. I mean, so yeah.
I'm a firm believer in role playing. Okay.
Yeah.
It might have been back from like my performance days of you practice, practice, practice before you go on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to me is what role playing is. And there's so much discomfort
Yeah.
about role playing.
Yeah.
Any tips or that you might share on how you get people to buy into the role playing, to lean into it, to have some damn fun with it?
I think that you have to be kind. You have to be kind when you're directing a role playing activity. You have to remember and realize that the people that you're educating on role playing are nervous and they're scared and they're uncomfortable. They might not even say it, but they are. So make that assumption, acknowledge it, address the elephant in the room, and take it easy on them. I mean, do serious role playing, but notice the people, notice how they sound, notice their body language. Are they having difficulty? And once they start to trust you, they're still going to be uncomfortable, but if they trust you, the leader with the role play, they will get more and more comfortable with it. But it is difficult. There is a positive to that negative energy, that you have, that scariness, because that can make you do better and better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find role playing so important. And
Mhm.
I've done it. And I've done it on both sides. So I've been in that hot seat,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Where we're role playing. And it is uncomfortable. It's pressure intense. For me, I take a deep breath and I was like, I'm just here to listen. If I listen well, somewhere within me, there will be a decent response. The response can be improved on, but there'll be a decent response. But I know when I've sat in that seat, if I sit with my elbows around my ears and I can't, I'm not even breathing, I'm not listening. So I cannot respond. And I
Right.
think one of the key things in sales is being a great listener, asking good questions and just listen. When the potential client feels they're heard.
Right. Yeah. Well, so one of the things that we teach on a regular basis to intake sales specialists is to do active listening for sure, because that's going to discipline and force you really to listen and be focused and present and pay attention to what's being said, because you can't do active listening if you're not doing that, right? But the other thing is to go underneath what you're hearing. So when a prospect is saying something, don't go forward, stay with them and sit with them for a moment and go under it. Tell me more about that.
The active listening is so important. What you just said, Chris, is a golden nugget. Is when somebody just says, "Tell me more about that."
Mhm.
And you get somebody to open up further and further, they lean in with that trust piece and they lean in and they're like, these people get me. They
Mhm.
care.
Right. Yeah. I mean, people can tell, they can tell if you really, really care, whether you're face to face or whether you're on the phone. They can tell. They
Yeah.
can tell. Everybody can tell. You're
You
already,
feel it.
yeah, you can feel it, you can sense it. If there's a, that somebody says something that deserves empathy, and we immediately, the moment they're done, we go to our next topic versus a pause and acknowledge what they said or tell me more about that. So you can tell, and this is what it's all about. I mean, all the marketing that the law firms are doing are saying, trust us, believe us, we're here for you, we can do it all, we're the ones. We give all kinds of promises, but then when the phone rings, we need to do what we said we were going to do. And then not just on the intake side, but all the way through the relationship. So then you get to the paralegals and the attorneys, and they're still selling and building relationships. People can change their mind. They can say, I'm done. I don't want to work with you anymore, right? They can do that.
And I think that's the culture of the firm. The culture of the firm is a culture of caring and client centric, clients first, listen, a warmth.
Mhm.
And that is really important to build as early as possible.
That is definitely important to build as early as possible. But also, I do believe that if you have a team that is struggling with that and they're not delivering client first or even
Mhm.
prospect first, then it's something to look at. Back to the culture, start at the
Yeah.
top. That probably means that we, the leaders at the top, all the way down, are not giving to our own team, which are our customers, what we want them to give to the clients. So that's why they behave that way.
I love looking at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Chris Mullins, you are brilliant. You know your stuff. You make a true difference in all the firms you work with. How can our clients learn more about you and continue to get to know you?
They can call 603-249-5878, or they can email Chris at intakeacademy.com and then just put Ivy in the subject line.
There you go.
Perfect.
Listeners, this is what I say at this point of the show. Take a deep breath in, right? We talked about that. Think about one thing. Chris and I have been chatting away. There's been nuggets everywhere. Identify one thing that was meaningful to you. Jot it down somewhere. It could be your phone, it could be a note on your computer, it could be a traditional piece of paper. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But then you get to make a decision and create the one action you're going to take based on that aha and takeaway. You listen to us every week. We come out with a new episode. You jot down one action you're going to take every week. You will be moving forward. So, Chris, thank you again for joining me today on Her Success Story.
A pleasure. Thank you.
Listeners, see you next week with new content, new guests, and a great, great year in 2025. Thanks for joining us.